What is up, family? Welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live with me, your host, and international award-winning Make Every Second Count speaker. Now, I am so pumped up for tonight. I know I'm always pumped up, but I really am tonight because our guest is going to be teaching us how she navigated grief. And if you've ever seen the show before, she will be giving us ideas on how we can navigate grief in our own lives. My background is when I was 17, I spent 2.5 months in a coma and 3.5 in the hospital. I was told I probably wouldn't walk again, but guess what? I do. And I just want to show you that what you see on social media isn't always the truth. People's lives don't go perfect all the time, and they often have things in life that set them back or try to hold them back. So, what we do is we talk to regular people with amazing stories. And I thought this was a great story to bring on tonight. But we ask you guys if you would please share this episode out. Did I already say this? I don't know. But invite people to watch it. Give us all kinds of thumbs up, hearts, frowny faces, cry faces. Heck, you can even get mad at us. I don't care. Just help us trick the algorithm on any of the social media networks that we're on. And then keep the comments coming. We want to have more of a conversation than just make a presentation. But with no further ado, I would like to bring to the stage Mrs. Lynn Lewis. Hello, Lynn. How are you this evening?
Hello, Jeff. I am well, thank you.
I am so glad to hear that. But I'm going to be inviting a few people on my phone here, and you
Okay.
can go through a short introduction, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do. I would absolutely love that.
Sounds good. First of all, thank you, Jeff, for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. As Jeff has mentioned, my name is Lynn Lewis. I am a certified grief educator and coach. I am an author, a speaker, and a writer. And I am the Chief Empathy Officer for Destined to Thrive Grief Coaching. What does that mean? What do I do? I walk alongside and support adults who have experienced a tragedy, but despite the tragedy, they have made the choice that they want to move forward in life, and so I am that person that, excuse me, can help them do that as a coach and as a grief educator. So that is basically a little bit about me. I am in the on the East Coast of the United States, in the Richmond, Virginia area.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that you help people through grief. And I know I've had some grief in my life, and it's oftentimes I find myself saying, "Good grief." That's a saying that I say quite a bit. But I need to say hello to Ben Bruce, who is watching us from the Seychelles in Africa. And then we also have my dad, who's watching from somewhere. I don't know, but he's somewhere close to me. And then we have Adam Mark Robinson watching us from the United Kingdom. So we appreciate you guys watching. And if so, how did your journey with becoming a grief counselor start?
My journey to becoming a grief coach and certified grief educator began after the death of my son, my only child. He was an adult in August of 2019. So that's what got me into this space of grief work, because early on after his death, I made the decision that I was not going to die with my child, that I wanted to continue to live. And then I found out about grief coaching, and it just kind of spoke to me. And I figured if it spoke to me, it would speak to others who had similar experiences as mine. And so I embarked upon getting the certification, and then later getting the certification as a grief educator.
Yes, that's really something admirable that you did there. You took your pain and moved it into a purpose.
Yes.
Well, I I, I can't say I know because I have never lost a child. In fact, I don't even have any children. But what was it like to lose a child?
Devastating. Nothing that I could ever have imagined. My child was a firefighter, professional firefighter, and I knew that that was a dangerous occupation. Excuse me.
All right.
And I remember in a conversation that we had that I said, son, if you get hurt or even die on your job, I will know that that happened when you were doing something that you were passionate about. But never in my lifetime would I have thought that it would be this way. So, yeah, it was devastating, tragic. I call it my gut wrenching, unexplainable situation
Yeah.
that I wish that no one, I claim my superpower as somehow making it that no other parent, no other sibling, no other family member would know what it's like. But that's my superpower. Perhaps I'll get it someday.
No, you're living your superpower. It's just something that isn't going to go away for
No,
people, and it's something that I think is always going to be there. So you're needed in this world more than you know. But I want
no,
to
thank you.
tell you something that I realized from your story as you were speaking, that you are stronger than you know. You have lived through all of this. You have much knowledge that you can help people outside of you become better at handling such a situation. And I really do find it admirable that you have taken your pain and moved it into purpose. And that is really rewarding for you as well.
Yes, it definitely is. What I do is not easy. Some days it's way harder than others, but as I'm helping other people, it helps me as well. It helps me with my personal healing process. And I say, I do what I do because it could be somebody's life jacket. It could be somebody's life raft that just helps to keep them afloat for another day, another hour. It could be someone's solution to their problem when they are thinking, "It's no way I can move forward," but just knowing that I am moving forward. So that's why I keep telling my story.
Yes, and telling your story not only benefits other people, but it also benefits you, because when you
Yes,
help other people, you receive a boost of all kinds of happy chemicals inside your brain, and that ends up helping you in the long run. So I like to say that I do certain things for kind of
yes,
selfish
definitely.
reasons. Yeah. So
Yeah, it
we
most definitely helps.
yeah, we actually do have a question here from the audience that is a great one. Well, first of all, I want to point out that Adam Mark Robinson said, "Who is this wonderful lady? Her son will live on forever." Sounded like a great guy firefighter and hero. So people are listening. Just know that. And then
Thank you, thank you, Adam.
we have one from Ben Bruce who says, "What are the coping mechanisms you use when you feel sad or emotional?"
That's a good question, Ben Bruce. I One of the things that I do for myself is practice self-love unapologetically. And so when I am feeling sad, when I am feeling down, I check in with myself. And I also, one of my other coping mechanisms is that I give the emotions, the grief, their space. I give them space and I lean into them because I have found that if you try to run from your grief, which are those emotions that come up, that you're never going to outrun them. So I lean into mine. I let them have their space, and then because I know eventually they're going to subside. I mentioned just today, I believe, on a live that I did, well, a video that I did, that if you think about your grief, those emotions, like the waves of the ocean, and think about how the waves just violently rushes to the shore and then they subside and ease on back. So that's, if you can think of your, and that's how I think about my sad days, my sad hours is okay, here come the waves, but I know that they are going to go back. I know that they are going to go back. So um and another thing that I do is I don't try to hide, Ben Bruce. I don't try to hide my emotions. If I'm having a sad day, then I'm having a sad day. If I'm feeling disappointed, if I'm feeling like I failed my son, whatever those emotions are, I admit to them. I don't try to hide them. So that's a few ways that I cope with my how I navigate my grief journey.
That's great. Thank you for those suggestions. I'm curious though, and I don't know if you want to get into this, but what does a difficult day look like for you now?
A difficult day for me may be when I see stories about parents, especially mothers and sons, because my son and I had a good relationship. We had a great relationship, and we enjoyed doing things together. And doing things did not have to be anything big. It could be going to the bookstore. It could be going to get, a coffee or a tea. It just anything, and we call them our adventures. And so it's challenging and it's hard on me when I see those parents having those times, because then it makes me remember that I'll never have any more of those with my son. So that can be kind of a rough day, or but again, I lean into them and I don't harbor any envy, I don't harbor any jealousy toward those other parents. Um, but yeah, that triggers, that activates sometimes a bad day.
Yeah, now I forget who exactly said this or talks about it, but he said that there's always a place in your mind that you can go to be with that person again. And he calls it memory lane. And
Mm,
you see he goes back there and he goes through those things inside his head that he used to do with that person, and I find that to be fascinating. Is that something that you think would help you?
um, I didn't. I probably already do that, Jeff, but I
Yeah.
just didn't. I didn't have a name for it. But there are times that, yeah, I take a stroll down memory lane and think about some of the things we did, some of the laughs we had, some of the times when I knew he was not liking me, but I would keep talking and and all of that. But and the other thing is, I always say that my son's demise is always playing in the background of my mind. It's always there. So early on, I would talk about the reality or fantasy. In my fantasy world, I don't have. He's not gone.
Yeah.
And but I don't stay there. I come back to reality, to the reality that yes, he is gone. So yeah, sometimes it's a play in the mind because the mind can take you some places, but that's how I handle mine, and that's how when I'm asked, I tell other people to give it a try.
Yeah, that's a great thing that you actually help other people. I find that very, very admirable, and I know that that helps you as well as them.
Yes.
So I know you don't know a lot about my story. What exactly does make every second count mean to you?
And by the way, I love that. I guess that title or that tagline, "Make every second count." It means to for me to be present, to be present. We think about the past, just like I think about my son and how, what happened and all of that. But I choose not to live there. But and then I don't know what the future holds. We know just from our own personal experiences that, as you say, life can change in a second. So your tagline for me is be present, be present, be present. Enjoy what you have right now to making every second count. Be present.
Yeah, that is so true. So,
Yeah.
that is one of the things that I use as a pillar of make every second count is to be present.
Hmm.
So, great answer. I I have to give you kudos for that one.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So what exactly would you tell somebody that hasn't really dealt with their grief? Somebody that, let's say they lost their father years ago and they don't have any family left. What would you tell somebody like that?
I would probably tell them that they get to make the choice. They can stay where they are with their grief, or they can make a choice to start moving forward, taking small steps. If there is a lot of, say, hostility or anger because maybe it wasn't a good relationship, I suggest that they talk to a professional, a therapist or a counselor. But if they have dealt with all of that and they want to move forward, but they maybe just don't know how, then I can help you with that. And what I do is most everyone is familiar with life coaching, where a person helps you. So I do similar, but from a grief perspective. So I focus only on the grief part. But yeah, and it definitely, Jeff, how people navigate their grief has to be their choice. It's different for every single one of us, even if it's for the same person. But we have to decide and make that choice. Do we like being in this space where we are, just kind of acting like maybe it didn't happen or maybe it will go away? And but choice. I'm big on reminding people that each of us make that choice.
Yes, that is very that is a great answer too. Because so I what I do, one of the another pillar of make every second count would be that you do have to make a
Yes.
choice to live in the moment, a choice to have a great day, a choice to be present in that moment right there that you're in, because you can always be distracted, always be in a moment but not officially in the moment.
Right.
Yeah. So how, let's say this person lives in Africa and they don't have access to traditional therapy or counseling, as you said. How can they find a counselor that will help them?
Um, well, we all, most everyone uses a computer or phone, but I would start by Googling just to see what's out there. Read articles about someone who's had a similar experience as yours. Look for free resources. There are lots of resources that's free that you can excuse me, partake of. But that's what I would say. If your resource, if your access to a counselor or a therapist is limited, then start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. As tennis great Arthur Ashe said, start where you are. Use what you have and do what you can.
That's so true. Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher, says something very similar to that.
Mhm.
And I'm sure he got it from him. He just changed it a little bit so he could call it his own. So, all right, let's look at this. First of all, I have to say that I'm so sorry that this happened to you. And
Thank
I
you.
know that it's something that parents don't want to ever have to deal with.
Right.
At 17, when I was in my car accident, my parents were told that they didn't know if I would ever come out of the coma. And if I did, they didn't know I would ever know who they were.
Hmm.
So I can kind of sort of relate to your situation, because I know from talking to my parents, like the unknowing, the dread in their heart that they still live with even today. But I did come out of it, and I I don't know. I just feel for you, like, a lot.
Well, thank
So,
you.
um, I'm reading through the questions.
Okay.
So, I'm asked here, did you work at State Farm? I missed that.
I did.
Some people stalk you on this show, but um, what were your experiences at State Farm like, and what was your job responsibilities there?
So at the time that my son passed away, I had already retired from State Farm. So, that didn't affect my grief journey. My working there didn't. But I worked in automobile claims, and I'll just leave it at that. I'm
I
curious to know
probably
who. Yeah, I'm curious to know who asked the question, or did they just see it uh, on my LinkedIn or something?
yeah, it was Ben Bruce.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how he knew that. probably looking stuff up for the show.
Yeah, it's
But
on my LinkedIn and on my Facebook page.
well,
As a
that's very cool.
yeah, yeah,
It shocked me too. And then we also have Robert Brooker in the comments. He's from Canada, so we have Canadians in here. He says, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
yeah. Well,
My first insurance was with State Farm. I was oh, your agent retired too. His first insurance agency was State Farm. So, like you talked a little bit about a book and being an author. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
sure. So I did an anthology a few years ago, which is a book collaboration with 9 other ladies. Excuse me. And we each wrote a story or chapter slash story about how we navigated or how we managed or handled an adverse life experience. And so in that book, I wrote about my grief journey. Um, I was only 3 years in at that time. I'm coming up on 6 years now. So I wrote about that in Prepare for Purpose. And then last year, I published my first solo project, which is a journal slash memory book. And that I did that in memory of my son. And so that is, I wrote that because I kind of wanted something that I could keep like cards or, write notes and whatnot, but I wanted to be able to keep different things in one place. And so it has prompts, it has quotes, it has space to write letters or put pictures, and it has also some resources. So if anybody does, shop on Amazon. It is on Amazon. If you pull up my name, you'll find it. My suicide journey journal and memory book.
Yeah, that's I writing books has been a help to so many people,
Hmm.
and I get it. It's awesome to see your story in a book. It really is.
It is.
So, do you have any contact information you would like to give out?
Yes, I can be reached at my website, and it's kind of a long one, but I love it. It's www.destined grief. I'm sorry, destined to thrive griefcoaching.com. I
Yes.
am also destined to
Coach.
thrive grief coaching .com. I am also on Instagram as Grief Coach Lynn. Is on Instagram as Grief Coach Lynn. And I also have an email address, which is destined to thrive at outlook.com. And let's see, where else? I'm on LinkedIn under my name. I am also on Facebook. I have two Facebooks, the personal, my name, as well as Destined to Thrive. And I think that covers it.
That is
But I would
awesome.
love to hear from you. I would love to hear from your audience. You know, and I do I put posts out about grief, of self love, and um, things like that. So I would love to hear from you. If you email me at destined to thrive at outlook.com, just put in the subject line, put Jeff's uh, live or something, so that you know how you get a lot of spam mail or junk mail, so that I'll know that how you know about me. But I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you, Robert. We
Yeah.
appreciate you too. He says, thank you both from Canada, eh?
I have I have a young friend in Canada, Joe Lyons um, Rising. He is an author and musician. So we have virtual tea, and we kind of met like you and I did, Jeff, just on social media. So
That's awesome. So, wow, we're like out of time. I didn't even realize that. The conversation went so quick.
oh, thank you.
So I want to tell you thank you. I know you're a busy lady and you took the time to be here, and I appreciate that very much. And I know Ben Bruce and Christopher and Robert and my dad and all those other people that are in here are appreciative too. But I need you and everybody out there to do me a favor this week, next week, and for the rest of your life. I need you to make every second count. Why? Because you never know when those seconds will run out on your one life. Guys, I'll see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and until then, thank you so much. Thank you, Lynn. Have a great night.
Thank you, sir.